Hi, I'm Joseph Patrick, co-founder of Lamont Bros. And in today's video, I want to give you an overview of 3 different ways to go about a remodel and some of the advantages and disadvantages of each one. The first one is a one-man show. This is where you're going to find somebody who is a single proprietor who does remodeling, and it's just them and their truck, their company. And the advantages of doing this is typically costs are going to be lower because they have less overhead. Typically, you're going to have more personal interaction with the owner as opposed to a general contractor or design build firm. And then it's a big advantage for smaller projects because you have an efficiency standpoint when you just have one person there that typically does a lot of different things and just is there to get it done. So when it's a small project, you don't have the mobilization of mobilizing different resources. The disadvantages of this style is it's the highest risk for a fly-by-night kind of individual. Is he going to be there next year? Is he going to be there in 5 years? Is he going to be there in 10 years if I've got issues with this? And is he going to come back and fix anything that's not done quite right? My tolerance for risk on this is pretty high, actually, when it's a real small project. There's fewer things that can go wrong. They're going to cost less to fix if they go wrong. The bigger the project, the lower my risk tolerance. I want a company that's been around for a while, gonna be around for a while. Secondly, with one person, you've got one skill set, and not everybody is good at everything. So the bigger the project, the more skills involved. So there's organization, there's scheduling, there's planning, there's a little bit of design. There is actually doing the work. Is the guy I'm working with, is he good at one of those? Is he equally good at all of them? That's really, really unique. And then the third thing is the timeline. By virtue of we've just got one guy focused on this, is my timeline going to move at a good pace? The second way to go about a remodel is to hire a designer and a general contractor. The advantages of this is you're going to get full design support because you've brought a designer who's very, very qualified on board. Typically with a one-man show, you're hiring a contractor who doesn't typically have a design background, and there's no designer in the picture. Big advantage. The other is typically you're going to have more resources and they're going to be better organized because the best general contractors are really good project managers and they mobilize resources to get your project done. The disadvantages are that you're going to have less budget control because you're bringing on a designer and he or she gets involved earlier in the process. General contractor typically doesn't get involved until the design's been developed for quite a while. And so you start with an idea of what your budget might be, but you don't know if that's realistic or really if it's doable until much later in the process when you find out, oh, if it's much, much higher, then I've got to go back and pay more money to redesign, or I've got to increase my budget. The third way to go about a remodeling project is to hire a design build firm, where you've got the designer and the general contractor integrated into one firm. The advantages of this is you often have really good communication because these teams or people are used to always working together. You certainly have better responsibility because you're writing one check to one firm who's taking ultimate responsibility for both the design and the construction of the project. The other big advantage is budget control. Done right, the design build company is going to establish a budget with you in the very beginning. Then they're going to work through the design process to design a project that meets that budget. Then they're going to craft the construction costs that are exactly what the construction is going to be and that match the budget, and then they're going to execute on that. So the final price is the price that you came up with in the very, very, very beginning. Now, some of the cons and the disadvantages for working with a design build firm have to do with cost. They're more expensive than a one-man show scenario, and they're typically about the same expense or maybe a little bit more than a designer and a general contractor. It depends on kind of what style of general contractor you hire. The other disadvantage is it's really hard to price shop and save a little bit. Because typically when you price shop and remodeling, if you're sticking within the same style, you're going to be saving. There's a variance between companies of about 5 to 10%. That's typically what I've seen. Probably the bigger the project, maybe the little bit less variance, but that's what I've seen. But when you're price shopping design build firms, you're price shopping budgets, and there's generally in a good budget, they're communicating that there's a variance within that budget, and so you don't have a really firm number, and it's really hard to price shop. For more information about a design build company and a design build approach, feel free to check out our website and our YouTube channel, where we've got a lot of educational content about how to go about a remodel and how to work with a design build company.